Easier, that's not working. Too bad. Okay. Try something else here. Hi. Just getting started. Oh, what a day. I'm wondering about this. I don't know. Oh, let's sneeze. I'm having like doubts. The drawing started out like really strong and now it's kind of getting hairy and I'm like, did I do the right thing here? Is it gonna look right? Oh, I don't know. Mm, we'll see. We'll see if it ends up looking right. You like my pink and green outfit? It's got cute little pockets. Let me see if I can scoot out of it and show you. See these little pockets? It's St. Patrick's Day. I had to wear some green, you know. Like, I almost didn't. I almost went with like no green, and then I was like, knowing how frisky some people are, you know, I didn't want to risk getting pinched by anyone, so I put on my green. I was planning to do a roast tonight too, but I ended up like deciding I didn't want to cook. And I was gonna grab a slice of pizza, but my local pizza shop was closed. It said closed Saturday and Sunday. They had just like a handwritten sign, but they're not usually open Mondays either. So it's like, no pizza. No pizza for 3 whole days. And you know, I wanted a slice today, but I'm not gonna want one tomorrow most likely or the next day. But I guess tomorrow if I want one, it's not gonna matter because they're not gonna be there, right? It is what it is. Yeah, it's a nice day overall. It was good too. They were very happy to see me at I ended up getting some like Thai food. I got a Thai iced tea, and they had these new yakisoba noodles that they haven't had on the menu before, which I ordered, and they were not very good. They were like really sweet. Like I couldn't even finish them. I ended up throwing away about a quarter of it because I was just like, It was my only meal too. I can imagine whoever operates the pizza oven wanted some time to drink green beer. Lordy, oh my. I mean, they've had the same employees there for years. It's like a very nice, tightly knit local shop. So I assume, you know, maybe people are sick or something like that when they're not open, because it's just the people there are very dedicated and have been there forever, and at least to me anyway, because I've been around this neighborhood for a long time. So I haven't been in this place forever, but I lived not far from here before, so I would go there previously. So anyway, it's too bad. So yeah, anyway, I guess I'm complaining about my food today. It sucks when you like go out or you get something to go. I got it to take out, and it's just not good. You know, it's just not. It don't hit the spot. It's not satisfying. Should have got something else. Anyway, bummer. Or I should have just came home and made something. Well, I'm very lucky to have many places in the neighborhood to eat. So I'm not without options. There's a number of things, but just kind of bum, like when you're craving one thing, you're like, oh yeah, that sounds good, and then yeah, you end up getting something else, and then it's not even good. I don't know, it's kind of like disappointing. Anyway, I didn't want to cook because I had to do some housework today, so it's just like I have to choose every day the number of physical tasks I can really do. And sometimes if I want to get more done, that means I, have to not cook or, move things around that way. So at least I got those things done. Hi, Weird Beatnik.
Stacy says my lighting is angelic. Thank you. It is kind of nice, isn't it? It's coming through very nicely and it's not washing me out too bad. I'll take it. I'm not happy with where my drawing's going right now. I need to think it through. Like, what am I really trying to do here? What have I done? Have I ruined it? God. I really have to think about it, and I'm kind of like, it had such potential, and now I'm just kind of feeling about it. Maybe if I fill it all in, I'll feel differently, but then I feel like, oh. I don't know. I don't know what the next thing to do is. It's always difficult. I get myself in these corners and like unhappy with where things have gone. I'm not sure about what to do next. I might as well just keep going. Am I okay, Terri? In what sense? I'm all right. Okay. She's okay. She'll make it through. I'm okay. I did have a nice day for the most part. Yesterday was a bit more exciting, but today I had church and I had my book club, and then I had housework to take care of. So, and then tomorrow I have to go back to my normal schedule of work and whatnot. So everything's fine. Things are as they should be. It will be I wonder. I hope so. I don't know. It might not be. You worry about everybody. Yeah, don't worry about me. I'm all right. I probably am kind of low energy today, but I thought I'd come live anyway since I'm sitting here and want to work on this for a while. See who's on, see who wants to chat, all of that stuff. All that good stuff. Yeah, it was an all right day. I got some, before church too, I got coffee, showed up, chatted with a couple people, ended up chatting with a guy, which I haven't talked to him for a few weeks because he's been weird. I had a feeling like he was avoiding me or something for a while now, actually. So it's nice to talk to him and kind of just have things be smoothed over. Because I don't know, I don't like weird energy with people. And when you get the vibe that somebody's like not talking to you or avoiding you, that's always awful. And then when you like them, it's just like, ugh. I'm like, oh no. And then the other guy I was seeing, he came to church as well, and he brought a young woman who's apparently the niece of his friend that died this week. So that was interesting. I just don't know. Like, it's awkward, like, interacting with someone after you tell them you don't like them. It is awkward, and I guess I didn't put it in those words exactly, but it is awkward, and he's still kind of like, I don't know. I just feel uncomfortable around him, but I also don't want to like be weird about it. Just, yeah. But I think I've learned something. I was like, from this situation, because I think initially I was just kind of impressed with like his directness, which was why I agreed to like go out with him in the first place. I was like, okay, he's very direct. I like that. It's promising, but like I knew pretty much right away that I wasn't gonna like him. And I just I'm thinking now, why did I agree to do this? Like, why did I agree to even go out with you a few times? Like, was I just bored? I mean, I don't know. I need to be more mindful of this stuff. Like, if I already know that I'm not gonna be attracted to a guy or like him, I just need to not agree to, or I need to turn him down right away. And also, even then, I just feel like I should have gotten to know him better before ever agreeing to, because if I had just talked to him a couple more times, I think I would have realized that we didn't like him, or that we weren't going to be compatible. So anyway, that's an awkward situation, but it's not terrible. It's just learning experience. I've been thinking about going back to church, even if I may seem different in some of those. Honey, there's plenty of different people that go to church. What do you mean by different? They're full of different people. I mean, that's one thing I like about my church. It's there's a number of people who are, there's people from all walks of life that come in, and different social classes, different backgrounds, different races. I value that in my church, and also just people of we have a number of people who are disabled or in some way, physically or mentally, or they have, there's a couple of people who have just, I don't know. I remember talking with one of the other people in the church after I joined. He and I joined on this at the same time. or we were like voted in or whatever. And there was this other guy that attends a church who's got like a pretty severe form of autism, and he's a creative genius. I have to say, he's like artistically brilliant. He sometimes brings parts of his projects in, and he does all kinds of different like sculpture and art. Like he's very prolific with his art, and he's a few years older than me, but he's just kind of mentally young in a lot of ways. But yeah, I remember the guy that we joined at the same time. He was saying to me, he's like, I like that about this church. He's like, at the last church I went to, they wouldn't have let him in here, and I was like, why? Because he's different. Like, it just blew my mind. I'm like, why wouldn't, what? And it's not like he's disruptive or ill behaved or anything. It was very bizarre to me. I was like, why, what kind of church is that where somebody being different is like a problem? That's wrong. That's very wrong. But anyway, he has some, yeah. You're asking me about the real Sabbath might actually be Saturday. I don't care what, I mean, like, I think it is Saturday. The real Sabbath is Saturday. If you want to get down to it, but like, I go to church on Sunday. So, and yeah, I don't really do Sabbath. It's not really a thing to me. It kind of is. I just go to church when the service is. And I know some churches do service on Saturday, but I don't think that's correct. In Judaism, it is Saturday though. But, I'm a Christian. It comes from Judaism, but I'm not Jewish. So to me, it doesn't make sense to follow all of that. I don't know. I feel like taking my hair down now that I'm on camera. Ugh. Taking it down, y'all. It looked really cute this morning when I woke up because I tied it back and it had gotten a little bit wet when I had a shower last night. I didn't wash my hair, but it did get a little bit wet, so I had it tied back when I went to bed. And when I woke up, it was all kind of like curly. It's still kind of that way. So that was nice. That was pretty cute this morning. And I did a green eyeshadow. I don't know if it really picks it up. It's like a frosty green eyeshadow. So that was different. I don't usually do that. Although I don't know why. I like green eyeshadow. It looks pretty good with my coloring overall. I just kind of usually gravitate towards more like purples or pinks or browns or like golds. NT ways, silly talk. I also did like a little bit of green eyeliner underneath too. It's a little bit different for St. Patrick's Day. It was kind of, I don't know. It's enjoyable. It's really nice out too. Although this morning when I left, it was like still cold out, so I was glad I wore my coat. I was grateful for it, but I was even shivering like when I was going from the coffee shop to church, and then like the usual route I take, there were like some nefarious people on the sidewalk just like blocking the whole thing. So I had to take a slightly different route because I was like, okay, I don't want to deal with this. Why are you blocking the whole sidewalk? You know what I mean? Like, why are you just hanging out, blocking the whole sidewalk? It's really rude. I get frustrated with people. I also met a woman from Brazil today. That was interesting. There's a guy that's been attending. He came to like the evangelism course and has attended church about like 3 times since then. And he brought his wife in today, and she's from Brazil. So I had an interesting conversation with her. And I got to know a woman who attends pretty regularly. But found out she's like my neighbor. She told me where she lives, so I can go like visit her now. So that's exciting. And she's from South Korea, this other woman. So it'd be interesting just to visit. I enjoy having people nearby to visit with. I mean, I have others too, but I don't know. Anyway, it was a good day overall. A lot to think about. The sermon was good. Pastor was even in the band. Like he used to get up with the band a lot, but he hasn't in a while. And all of a sudden, he came out, picked up a guitar, and started singing one of the songs. I was like, "Oh dang, he's back." He's back in the band. Right on. Yeah, though there's quite a few in my church, but yeah, it is interesting. My specific church has a congregation that meets and does service in Khmer, Cambodian, and it was founded like 40 years ago. It's had the same pastor, Pastor Peter. He's been pastor at the church for 40 years. Were founded by Cambodian refugees, and they also conduct mission trips to Cambodia and have like a children's mission set up there that has a school and like other resources for the community. So they work on the school, the missionaries do, or if you go on a mission trip, they work, doing things for the school, whatever it needs to have built. They help build like a playground for the kids and other things and they've even helped like build housing for the people in the community. So that's pretty cool. So that's enjoyable. And then of course there's just like other people sprinkled throughout the church who are from different places. It's a pretty interesting congregation, I have to say. And as I was leaving, like there's multiple churches in the area. So there's like one kitty corner for mine. So on the way out, a bunch of people were leaving, but that church is a lot more liberal. Like they have, pride flags on the outside and Black Lives Matter banner, hung off of the church. And there was a lady with blue hair who was kind of like standing on outside of one of the doors, and she was like waving her arms in the air. I was like, man, this is interesting. But nobody with blue hair attends my church. There's no people of hair color. I mean, there's definitely people that dye their hair, but no like exciting colors. Well, no, it's not near me. They're part of the same congregation. They just meet. They meet in a different. There's like my church is very large, so there's like there's different chapels and sanctuaries in the church. So there's like the main one where like service is conducted in English, and then there's another chapel in the building where the Cambodian congregation meets for service in Khmer. So they do like Bible study in Cambodian, and they also do it. They have their services in Khmer as well. So it's they're part of, but they're the same. They're members of the same church body, and we do have like on the special holidays, we all meet together and we do service with, multiple languages being spoken. So usually we'll do prayers in English, Spanish, and then Khmer. So yeah, it's a pretty wonderful thing to be a part of, actually, to be in the communities. And it's also cool to have like people who were refugees like 40 years ago who've established, multi-generational families in the community as well. So actually, one of our members died recently. She was a member of the church since the Cambodian congregation was founded. She came over like early and has been a part of it, since then. So yeah, she died this past year. Her daughter she has multiple kids, and so like I attended the memorial service because I didn't know her well, but I knew her, and her kids are part of the church, or her daughter is part of the church, and so I attended that memorial service, and that was pretty interesting because you just see from like the people in attendance, she's got all these grandchildren who are now like living here, and also like just other members of the community that she's known for a long time and the impact she's had. It was interesting. I enjoy, this is morbid, but I do enjoy memorial services. I do think they're a really important thing to do for the dead. You learn a lot about the impact a person has. It's just, they're touching, I guess. Yeah, I know they did end up in a lot of places. Okay, how to stop listening to satanic music. Sucked into Marilyn Manson. I like Marilyn Manson too. Oh man, what that album Smells Like Children. I think I was really into that album, and then obviously Antichrist Superstar. It's a big deal. Oh no. There's some good music. Like I think they turn out some good music, but yeah, I don't think he's a very positive person overall. So like, you just kind of have to like decide not to. That's all it is. It's nobody's forcing you to listen to Marilyn Manson. It's something you choose to do. And you have to like decide in your, own mind that I don't really like what this individual is about. I think if you're, regardless of who it is, what you're listening to, if somebody is bothering you in that way, like, I think it's a sign that you should just, choose to listen to something else. And maybe find something more wholesome to listen to. Stacy is suggesting Josh Groban, which is hilarious. My goodness. Josh Groban. Oh, goodness. Good old Josh Groban. Yeah, I think there's the laugh. I mean, it took a while to get it out, but yeah. It was waiting to come out at the right moment. I just needed to think about Josh Groban. Yeah, I don't know. I'm like Marilyn Manson. I don't know. It's so funny. I remember seeing this meme. Actually, I shared it on my Facebook a few years back, but I remember like in the 90s, um, I remember like all the Christian moms and parents being like outraged about him, like very upset about him. And, I always thought it was rather silly. And then, you know, as we grow and learn and more things are revealed about people, did come to find out that, yeah, actually, he's not a very nice person. Go figure. I mean, I don't think he's like, again, he's just into a lot of dark things. And, all you can really do is like, I think, pray for that individual and again, ask the Holy Spirit to renew your mind. Like it says in the book of Romans. Maybe listen to the book of Romans. Think about, renewing your mind, having the Holy Spirit renew your mind. It's clear that there's already some work going on in you. Like if you're already thinking like, I shouldn't be listening to this, then I think that's enough. Yeah, I mean, and I think too, like over time, you'll just kind of naturally drift away from things. It just kind of happens naturally. Like I haven't listened to him in a long time. I'm thinking of some like songs. He's definitely got some bangers. But again, it's like I don't know. I don't like to get into like cancel culture and that kind of thing either. But I don't like the way he's treated the women he's been with. To me, like he's um, the things that have come out, and just also, I mean, even things that didn't come out. I mean, when his the multiple there's been multiple women that he's dated that there's like dated or even he was married to Dita Von Teese. I don't like the way he went about treating her. He was very callous towards her in their divorce. It was clear that I just think he treats women like objects and not human beings, and I don't like that. I think he treats them like they're disposable, and he takes these very unique and interesting women and just kind of like is destructive towards them. I don't think that's somebody to like admire or like, I can't. For me, it's just I can't get into it or respect it or like separate it. I guess. I mean, I can separate the art from the artist. I do that sometimes, but I don't know. He's just not cool enough, I guess, and his art isn't that great. It isn't great enough to me. Like he isn't so freaking talented or he doesn't have a level of genius that I think makes me care enough to separate it. I just feel like he's been a jerk. The Christian parents were right about him in the 90s. And that's that. Rose, woe to the world because of the things that cause people to stumble. Such things must come, but woe to the person through whom they come. Mm. Rose McGowan is incredible. She is something incredible. Remember when she got Remember when she got in trouble for like yelling at that tranny? Remember that? That was great. And then it turned out that that guy, everybody was like outraged. It turned out that guy was like a PDF himself. What about women like me? Don't you care about women like me? Like, you're a man. I just, it's just so interesting. Like, anytime, any effing time, these women want to talk about anything, these guys need to be centered, and I'm like, if you are a woman so hard, if you're such a woman, why do you need to make it about you so much? Like, if you're such a woman, this should be your experience too. You're not centering me enough. Like, you would the work she was doing, and I mean, she's a bit unhinged about it, don't get me wrong. Like, she's unhinged, but like, if you think about it, and you think about like fighting rape culture, right? Combating it, standing against it, wouldn't that positively impact transgender people? Like, wouldn't that positively impact transgender women? And I mean, it's also so funny that that guy was just like saying, we get raped more. I'm like, in what universe do trannies get raped more than, biological women? Like, what kind of bizarre fucking fantasy are you running in your head, you creepy ass man? And then it turns out he's a predator too, who used to prey on like teen girls on Tumblr. Like, of course. But she's the one having to apologize when he's like being disruptive. I can't with all of it. I think I did a video about that. Like, I did a video like Rose McGowan did nothing wrong. It's privated now. We don't need that kind of stuff on it. But I still too, I'm like, all right. That's the most woman thing, Terry. What? I know. Our victimhood. Rose called out Oprah. I don't know, I don't remember what she said about Oprah. I don't know, Rose McGowan's an interesting woman. I loved her. She's a very beautiful woman, interesting actress. She's unique, original. But man, she's a mess too. Like, I don't know. We're praying for you, Rose. How did Dylan Mulvaney ever even happen? I mean, TikTok is a very interesting website. The kind of things that are popular, that gain traction, that get promoted on TikTok are the kind of things that don't always go over very well on other platforms. So I think he had a big kind of push behind him just because of that. Just because his particular type of content is in alignment with what the algorithm there likes and needs. I also think that, a lot of people, I just think he already had connections as well. He already had a network. He created his little woman face project, and it's everything aligned for him. So he sold his soul to the devil, and it worked out for him. Like, I mean, what to say? Like, what to say? He sold his soul to the devil, and he ended up on all these talk shows, and weirdo Drew Barrymore bowed down to him. I don't know. Like, how did it happen? I mean, it's it's interesting. He seems funded. He's definitely funded. He's got endorsements out the yin yang, and his content is very much in alignment with like women as consumer. And people want to be progressive, so they attach themselves to the trans thing because it's the most in victim group right now. They're the most in group, so everybody attaches themselves to it. It's like if I defend and align myself with this individual, no matter how psychotic and weird and creepy they are, and how offensive they actually are to womankind, I just think he picked a good market. He marketed himself well. He already had entertainment connections, a network, and his content really, you know, was marketable through the algorithm. So I just, how does it happen? Like, there's a whole host of reasons. Hello, Nicholas Woodall. Welcome. What? Oh, it's a kitty. It's a kitty. Look at a kitty. Is that your kitty, Nicholas? Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. I don't. I don't know what is meant by it. It just seems like people like navel gazing to me. And I don't even like to validate their words. Like when people talk about like, oh, dysphoria is real. I'm like, in what context is it real? It's happening in your head. If it's happening in your head, it's not real. It's just a thought. And it's a wrong thought. It's a pervasive, invasive, wrong thought. So why aren't you being given tools to overcome your thoughts rather than being convinced that your wrong thoughts are real? What a mess. What a mess. I don't know. When I think about it, to me, it's just so bizarre that it's even a conversation. It's even a conversation. That is your cat. Well, that's lovely. Your cat is very cute. I do love kitties. Do not trust a bot. How could a place like Australia exist? Like you're telling me that there's an island with animals on steroids. I mean, technically, it's a continent. It's a big continent. I mean, I guess there's others that are bigger, obviously, but it's more than just an island. In terms of like categorizing it as a land base, how could it even exist? I mean, I don't know. It just does. I mean, if you've met Australians, it's not hard to imagine that they do come from a land with giant weird animals on steroids and marsupials and big spiders and things and poisonous mammals. Like if you ever meet any out on like their holidays, because they travel in packs on holidays. They go to different destinations and they cause all kinds of mischief, and they're very ill behaved. I mean, I'm not saying this about all Australians. I do know some nice Australians, obviously, but like the stereotypes about them exist for a reason, and they can be quite intense, and they're just full on. I would say to just be polite about it, like they have a very intense, full on sort of personality generally. If I were to describe Australians, I would say that full tilt. That's a nice way of putting it. That's a nice way of putting it. Yeah. Okay. Here we go. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. They are. They're a bit much, and they're a bit wild too. They're a bit feral. Maybe is the way of putting it. Like, oh man. You hear about Americans, you hear about like other people, but Australians on their holidays, you got to watch out for them. Hello, Vasco Vascanami, and hello, Matthew from work. Get that money. Improper use of their accent is fake. Improper use of their place on the map is fake. And there is nothing in Australia. There is just New Zealand. What? I mean, you got me to say some nasty things about Australians already. I don't know where we're going with this. Like, hi, S.A. Brady. Sorry you got kicked out of Adam's show last night. Man, that was lame. I left like shortly after that because I was like, okay. I can't, like I was like, yeah, I need to go. And then I like went and had my shower, and I still had it on in the background, like I put it on my phone. And like I come out of the shower and I'm like drying off, getting dressed, and they're talking about it still. And so I type in the like comment section, justice for Terri Strange. So I came back on and talked with him about it. He's just sensitive, to certain things, and it's his channel, so I understand him not wanting to have certain kinds of, language maybe on the channel, because he first got rid of Doll Snatch, who is like my personal friend in real life. So that was kind of like, okay. And also like he was saying she's homophobic, which she's not. I'm way more homophobic than she is, like, just to be clear. So I was kind of like, if she's homophobic, what she said, if you didn't understand her sense of humor, I guess could come across homophobic, but yeah, he took it very personally. And yeah, I don't know. It was not nice. And then I think he's privated the stream. He's just sensitive. I don't know what to say. Like, but I'm sorry you were taken out. The lady was so funny though. Oh yeah, she was being hilarious. I was laughing hard. I mean, I was entertained. Obviously, I wasn't the one who was the butt of the jokes, though. So, and yeah, he's just concerned about having anything controversial on his channel. And, it was awkward too, because I got into that like debate with Creed before then, and Creed left, and I was kind of like, oh, did I like make this guy leave? Because, I mean, I don't know if you were there for that. It kept getting controversial. Like they just, I was kind of frustrated because like, I feel like I didn't bring up any of these topics. They kept getting brought up by other people. Like either Adam brought them up or like Creed brought them up or like people in the chat brought them up. And then I, responded with my opinions. And then like, yeah, Adam was just like, what did he say? Like he said something like, he's like, Terri, people, when I first had you on the channel, people, were saying how nice they think you are, like how nice and sweet you are, but then you have these really strong opinions. I was like, what the hell does that mean? What the hell does that mean? I have strong opinions. I don't even like, of course I have strong, like, I'm sure of what, I mean, that upset me. Like, that was kind of like, what do you mean strong opinions? And, what does that have to do with me being, I am nice, I am sweet, generally. Yeah, you can say that about me, but like, if you're going to say something to me that's legitimately wrong and stupid, don't be surprised when I come with facts. I know yes, I know I'm an opinionated woman. And what? And what? So, what am I? I'm not like, they're asking me about my opinions and then they're like upset about it, or like the thing was, okay, even getting on like, okay, so the first thing was like the British Empire thing that we got on. So I defended the British Empire. I said I think it is a good thing. And I went over like the reasons why I think the British Empire was a good thing. And like the guy, Creed, was just like, just talking nonsense. Like he was just saying this stuff that all like generic liberals say, like, oh, what about all the atrocity? And I'm like, do you understand that like the British Empire helped put an end to a lot of atrocity? Like we don't talk about in India, like it was like, or and it even started because he was bad mouthing Elizabeth II. He started bad mouthing Elizabeth II, like, and how he said, well, people celebrated when she died. And then I was like, yeah, because they're bitter, envious people, And he's like, no, because she committed atrocities. And I was like, what the hell atrocities did Elizabeth II, okay, commit? And like the Queen of, the Queen of England is not like a real power. Like she doesn't have any like, she has influence, but she doesn't have like real political power, So I'm like, what atrocities did she commit? I'm like, England pulled out of a lot of colonies before she even took the throne. So what the hell are you talking about? Of course, he couldn't give me anything, and I was like, yeah, she didn't commit any atrocities. She's not responsible for any atrocities. What the hell are you even talking about? Are you talking about Princess Diana's death? Like, because whatever, like what atrocities, in colonization are you even talking about, And I said, a lot of countries that the British have pulled out of have been, worse. They've been worse since the British left. So what do we do with that information? And then also like in India specifically, because India got brought up, like the British put an end to the practice of sati. Okay, do you know that before the British came and brought their before they colonized India, do you know that women whose husbands died, widows, were expected to burn themselves alive so that they wouldn't be a burden to their community? Their humanity was not, you were expected, if your husband died, didn't matter if you were like decades younger than him, didn't matter. You had to throw your live body onto his funeral pyre. That was expected in most places. The British put an end to that shit. They introduced Christianity, which, in Hinduism, these kind of concepts of every individual having a unique soul and being, valuable don't exist in the way they do in Christianity. So, like, a widow in a Christian context is a human being who has value. So I don't know, like to me, like we can get into all the ins and outs of it, but like also the US as it exists today exists because the British Empire existed and all these other empire existed. Yeah, also the caste systems, like come on, like give me a break. Like atrocity is what humans do. Like, but overall civilization, the British brought civilization and modernism and better living standards and education and it's not all bad. You want to pretend that like colonialism is this terrible thing and not really. It is what it is. It's the past as well. So it's like it really just and also Queen Elizabeth didn't commit any atrocities. He's like, well, the one before her did. I'm like, George, what was it? George the Fifth? George the Fifth? Yeah, he didn't do anything. What the hell are you talking about? Like, oh man. I just can't take it when like people, so I'm going to go off. I'm going to go off when people are wrong. So I went off about that. And then they were bothering me about like someone in the comment section brought up the fact that I did a video saying that men should always pay on dates. Like, because they're taking offense. Somebody in the comment section took offense to that. Like, and he's like, no, like he was acting. Yeah, it was quite an interesting conversation because they were just acting as if that's odd or acting as if men don't provide. I'm like that's unreasonable. Like, who the f are you, man, to like tell me what is reasonable for me to expect or not? You know what I mean? Like in terms of what I expect from a husband. My mother's husband provides for her. All of my aunts married men who provide for them, provide for their whole family. So I don't know why I should expect less. And I don't know. Liberals have like a really, I mean, that's what the thing too. I don't know. I probably shouldn't have gone on this tick, but like it did upset me because like, oh, you have these strong opinions, and I'm just like, you mean I'm not a liberal? You mean I'm just not a liberal that supports whatever is popular? Like, what are you talking about? How are my opinions any stronger than anybody else? Man, y'all going off. Hold on, let me catch up with the chat. This is nice. Long-winded discussions with a dolled-up Terri over tea would be a delightful way to start the morning. Aw, isn't that nice? I would be dolled up too, because I get dolled up first thing in the morning. If you're lucky, you'll be able to catch me when I have my makeup on, but I'm still in like my robes. Yeah. I know, it's just like, don't. And I'm like, can you give me an example? And the guy said, Google. And I'm like, I'm sorry, can you give me an example of what Queen Elizabeth II, what atrocities she committed? You can use Google. I'm like, why don't you use Google since you're the one making a positive claim? And I'm like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. The onus is on you to back up the nonsense you're saying. It's just also like, I don't care. like I don't really care about these people, their position, that kind of thing, but I think it's really wrong to set a precedent where it's okay to slander people just because you don't like the position they're in or you resent their wealth or privilege or status in society. I think that's BS, and it's what weak people do, and it's very common. Like when she died, and when Charles like or when Charles was like, what do they call it when they put in a new one? I don't know. Like I just remember seeing people just going off about like, I don't support the institution, like, or just being like saying this like dumb stuff about like, I don't care who he is as an individual. It's the institution I'm against, and everything that they were saying were things that people could easily say about them. Like they benefit from a system of like exploitation and blah, 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 and colonialism. And I'm like, well, you are a British citizen living in England. So you benefit from that system too. There's no clean hands, okay? Like figure out where you actually are. You're an inheritor of that as well, and you want to like put all of your weird extremism onto a figurehead so you don't have to take responsibility for the fact that you're part of the empire too. I don't know. It's just dumb. Just people are so like just so dumb and like so resentful, and it's obvious. It's like, okay, you're just clearly resentful of somebody else's status, position, and power or perceived power. And it's, that doesn't give you a right to slander someone though. You need to back up what you're saying with facts, because I'm not just going to hear the word atrocity and think that it's real. What the hell does that even mean? I can't even name an atrocity, and then you tell me to Google it? Shut up. Well, why do people go on like this? It's ridiculous. If I'll pay if I get a darn good night kiss. Man, Matthew wants a good night kiss so bad. Terry, they are strong. Speak about the ones you know, why don't you? That's fine, but because they aren't spending grooming money, they should pay for dates. What? What are you talking about? What did I miss? And hi, Frederick. Nice. Coronation. Thank you, hon. I know. Dishy Rishi. Dishy Rishi. Isn't he dishy? Isn't he good looking? Rishi Sunak? I'm like, damn, he's fine. Where'd they get him? He's young. They live in daddy's mansion but hate daddy. Oh God, I know that's a lot of it. That's a lot of it too. It's like you're so like if people just like stop for a minute, all these people typing on their smartphones, all this extreme nonsense, right? They just stopped for a moment and looked around them at all of the wealth. Where is your sense of like have you never been to another, maybe they haven't been to another country, but if you visited any other countries at all, like if you're from a first world nation, if you're from the US, if you're from like the UK, well, even visiting the UK, like let me tell you, being an American visiting the UK, the way most normal people live in the UK is the quality of life is not as good as the average American. Okay? I'm just gonna say that. Just from what I saw. Just from what I saw. So, even putting that in perspective. But like if you've ever visited a poor country and you've seen like the kind of thing, the You know, if you've seen how people really live around the world, how can you like type into your smartphone this kind of nonsense of like bitter rage and anger about privilege? It's just so silly. Don't get judgy, just wish them well. She cooking. He loved my feistiness. Do you think I'm zesty? Doesn't zesty mean gay? Because whenever I hear people call someone zesty, I'm always thinking like I always see it as like they're calling someone gay. But you mean I have a different kind of zest? Yay! Getting worse in England and Wales for the working poor too. Yeah, whatever. Whatever. Still, like, why don't people count their blessings? Why don't people look around them and see that they have refrigeration, you know, central heating and air, plumbing, they have a toilet in their house, like they have employment, they have food, they have clean water. Like, why are people so unaware of how rich they are? You know what I mean? And how privileged they are. Even like it's so easy to look at what you don't have, and it's a lot harder to look at what you do have and recognize how actually advantaged you are and how privileged you've been. um, and I don't like that kind of thing. I don't like that kind of mentality where we're encouraged to be envious of those who have more. Like, we have more than most people in the world. Like, I want you to think about the number of human beings who don't have, all around the world, who don't have what you have, and like really consider your position and why you're like, I don't know, so ungrateful to yeah, people do despise their blessings. Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, I'm a girl. I get away with it. I get to be zesty. I hate how the US government works. The fact our government can be bribed disgusts me. I mean, most government officials around the world can be bribed. It's not an American thing. So don't worry about that too much. It's a human condition thing. Um, but yeah, I mean, the corruption in America is enraging. Um, it's hard to know where it ends. You went to Ecuador and Nicaragua, all that social justice talk will go out the window quickly. I mean, yeah, I just, people have no idea. They have no idea, like, how much they have. Um, oh, we're privileged to all be here together right now, aren't we? It is a privilege to be here amongst all of you today. And you have Bond. Oh, yay, you got Bond. No, it's too much. It's a heavy crown. Heavy is the head that wears the crown. You can't bribe Singapore with LKY LOL. I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, donate. Send me a super chat. Um, Actually, I don't have my stuff on. I need to set up in all my links just and have it ready to go under every video. I did have like certain setups where I had it on my videos that it would automatically go, but anytime I do the live streams, they don't work out that way. or they don't automatically upload. I have to do it manually, and I don't do it because I just haven't. So I do need to set up a quick link just to put everything all together so that people can do that if they want. Well, Bubble Andy, I don't have Cash App. I don't have Cash App. I don't want it, I have a Ko-fi page where people can buy me like a coffee. Oh, well, Frederick knows. Frederick, send me a question with your super chat. You could have me talk about any topic you like. But thank you for the super chat. Very generous of you. Thank you, hon. Oh, thank you, Vasco. Vasco, why aren't y'all sending me messages or questions? You just send me the blank super chats. No comment, no question. Just generosity. That's sweet. Thank you. Well, it is appreciated, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you. Stacy says, sprinkle, sprinkle. Sprinkle, sprinkle. I mean, no. I mean, I do have people donate to me sometimes, though, and there's avenues to send me money if you wish. You know, um, I do have channel memberships you can sign up for. I don't know what the hell I'm doing with them though. I have been thinking I should make like certain content private or just only available to people on there, but I'm not really sure what to do with the channel memberships as such. But you do get like, I think, custom little badges at least, and I haven't created the emojis, but that's something that should be set up soon. And I also I do have a merchandise store where you can get like my art stuff. So that's another option if you want to support me. But again, I'm in a weird spot right now where like creatively I am doing the live streaming right now. But creatively I've kind of been in a slump with all my other stuff and doing kind of like the administrative thing. So thank you for reminding me that I need to work on it. Silence is a question. All right, we'll take a minute of silence. We'll do the silent prayer. Oh, S.A. Brady. No comment or question either. Thank you, honey. Let's get it up. Let's get it to 100, huh? Come on. Hey, you're having money problems. Well, just eat our cereal for dinner. Yikes. Yikes, yikes, yikes. Ugh. Cereal for dinner? I don't even like to eat cereal for breakfast. I mean, every now and then I get a craving, but okay, what kind of cereal do you all like? Just to change the subject slightly, I just like to know what's everybody's favorite cereal. Mine is grape nuts. I love grape nuts. So, okay, maybe, grape nuts, and I have them with whole milk, and I like to put little pieces of like dried dates in them, and I'll like leave it to sit for, sometimes I'll pour my grape nuts, put the milk in it, put the little dried pieces of fruit in it, Sometimes I put some like hemp nuts in it too. And then I'll cover it up with like, I'll put like a plate over the bowl and let it sit for like half an hour and come back and then eat it, because obviously it's kind of like, it's one of the more dry cereals, and I like my cereal to be a little bit soft. Second favorite is, oh, what is it? Cinnamon Life. You know, Life cereal with the cinnamon flavor. Amazing. Okay, let's see. Let's see what people are saying. I'm interested. Oh, Frederick got an alpha male mug. Alpha male, the Jesse Lee Peterson gave you a mug. You mug like a Tom. You mug like an alpha. That's awesome. Grape nuts are a full meal though. Yeah, I mean, red berry special K. Nice. Nice. I've had that. I do oatmeal. I do like oatmeal too. I do like oatmeal too. And I'll usually do oatmeal with like the hemp seed and like the dates and then some milk in it as well. I like that. Frosty Flakes with mango yogurt. Yum, 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 yum. Oatmeal with brown sugar. Oh. Why don't you I can't do that guy's voice. You need to go and go and go and go and go to yourself to church. I saute some fruit and put it in there, bruh. Oh, yum. Yum, 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 yum. Honey bunches of oats or granola with almond. I like honey bunches with the almonds. That's a good one. I don't really like granola too much. If I like, I won't even buy granola now. It's just not something I would get, because sometimes I'll take my grape nuts and put them in put them in like yogurt too with hazelnut milk. Oh my, you're not lactose intolerant, are you? I can't stand oatmeal or grits. Okay, I love grits. I like oatmeal too, but I love grits. I like them savory and I like them sweet. Although my first, times that I ate grits, they were sweet, not savory. So I know that I like them both ways. I haven't had grits though in a long time. I should get some. There's a place that does them. I want to get some. Because you sitting up there looking like a tar baby. I, he's a gray alien. Oh Lord, he is not a gray alien. Yeah, sometimes I like to put peanut butter or like some kind of nut butter in my oatmeal too. That's good, especially oatmeal with some peanut butter in it. Ooh, Pop Tarts. Oh Lord, grits are so good. You do need to try them. America switching almost exclusively to cereal grains. That's a fantastic recipe to follow as a society. Yeah, I know, but still. Look, I don't eat cereal I'm usually breakfast. Today for breakfast, I had a few pieces of pineapple. So, like, usually for breakfast, I'll have like some fruit, or I don't eat, sometimes I don't even eat breakfast. I'll have like coffee and that's it. And then I'll eat later. Or, I might have like a piece of toast, or if I'm feeling like I really need fuel, I'll make some eggs. But yeah, most of the time I don't eat cereal. Like I don't even, I think I might have a little bit of like grape nuts in the house, but I haven't had it in a long time. Okay, let's see. I'm a Southern Belle. Mm. Why are they boycotting Frosty Flakes? What's the boycott about? You could review. Well, actually, I have thought about getting a one of their unlimited passes, but here it's like $25 a month. But yeah, I understand what you mean. It is a good deal, but I don't know. For me, it's kind of like it's hard for me to get out that much. I don't have the like physical energy to go. I enjoy going to the movies, but it really has to be something that I want to see. Um, so I still have kind of like not been able to convince myself that it's something I should sign up for. Like I do have friends who go to see every single movie, like they're big film nerds, but I just don't have the physical energy for it. Like working full time, mm, I mean, I would have to go see a movie like every week or two. It's a lot. Yeah, Eggs Benedict is good. And also, like, you review the movies. I don't think I do reviews very well because, like, I mean, I could just sit here and talk about them, but, like, in terms of, like, editing and that kind of thing, I don't have, again, the time or energy for that. Fred is the resident alpha male now. Congratulations to Frederick. A steak and eggs kind of guy, or a pound of beef with avocado. A pound of beef. Whew. I can't eat that much beef in a sitting. I don't know. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Beef I usually will have for lunch. I don't really have it at breakfast. I did get some like sausage, some pork sausage recently, and I had that um, from the butcher. That was good. Um, and yeah, sometimes I'll do like a full spread. So I'll do like sausage or bacon and or ham, and then some toast and some eggs. Or usually it's just like one egg and like one piece of toast. So that's like when I want a big breakfast. I'm not. It's just early in the morning. I mean, we get the same movies that everybody else gets. You know what I mean? Like it's not we're getting the same there is a film industry here, but it's not that big and there are like filming is done here and there are studios, but there's some independent places that do some interesting things. So I do go to see those kind of films, like if they show documentaries or indie films or classic films. I'm into classic films, so I'll go see those. Oh, Matthew, you missed it earlier. I was talking about how when I was leaving church, I went by the neighboring church, and there was a lady with long blue hair that was like facing the sun. She was standing in the doorway facing the sun and like waving her hands, in the air back and forth like that. I was like, interesting. I don't know if she was signaling to someone, but I was just like, oh man. I was just like glad that my church doesn't have any people of hair color in it. I love it. I love it. Like, because there's so many churches around, and most of them like just pander, to people's liberal politics. So I think that was something that I appreciated about my church, or that I appreciate about my church. It's not like that. There's no there's no banners promoting any like political things. There's no pride flags. Hmm. Yeah, I usually do two, or I usually do one or two. It really depends. Like like today, I had breakfast, which was some pineapple, like 3 or 4 pieces of like little cut pieces of pineapple, and a cup of coffee. I mean, I had the coffee first, and then I had the pineapple later. And then at church, I had like a cookie and a cup of coffee. And then I got the yakisoba noodles from the Thai restaurant, and that's my eating for today. So one big meal, and then like a little tiny meal of like the pineapple. Oh, people of color, POCs who are POHC. They definitely need to start tattooing their skin blue to get my attention now. They got, oh man, people with all the tattoos are getting out of control too, aren't they? They're getting out of control. Like, I can't believe, like, yeah, just the number of people I've seen with like completely tatted up faces. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. It's weird. It's very weird. It's too much, and like it just there comes a certain point with it. Like, oh, and it's popular with like the rappers. I know they call it rap. It isn't rap. I don't know what the hell it is, but they call it rap. They call these people rappers. But yeah, as you notice how they all have like these face tattoos all over their face? Like, why is this a thing? It just looks, they look demonic. And I'm not saying this to put down, I have tattoos myself. So I'm not putting down people with tattoos. I like tattoos, but they just have the most stupid stuff on their face. And it's just like, why? And I just think too, like people need to wait to get tattoos. I think that's the other thing too. It isn't, it's, if you're, under the age of 25, you know, you really don't want to be getting tattooed a lot. I think you should wait till you're a bit older before you start making those decisions, because who you are in your early 20s is not who you are in your late 20s. Usually, you kind of come into your own and become more mature at that point. So, you're going to make better decisions about what you get tattooed on your body and where you get it tattooed, generally speaking. So I just, um, you mean Kellogg? I mean, I think it's probably better to have cereal in the evening than in the morning, because like you're starting your day with these like highly processed, refined carbs. So it's probably better to eat that in the evening anyway. But I don't eat in the evening generally. I don't, unless there's a certain circumstance, like I'm going out to eat with people that would make me eat. I generally don't eat in the evenings. I generally skip dinner. Fast food workers, man. I mean, I don't know, if I were managing or running a fast food restaurant, I wouldn't want my employees to have tattoos all over their face either. Just to me, it's like poor judgment. It's such poor judgment. It is such poor judgment. And it's just like you have all this other body to tattoo. Like, why your face? Yeah, Fred got his alpha mug filled with some alpha whatever he drinks, Diet Pepsi. What's the man Diet Coke or whatever, like Coke Zero or something? F no. Presley Gerber tattooed misunderstood on his face, which he later removed. Imagine having Cindy Crawford's face and then marking it up. Is this her son? I don't know who Presley Gerber is. I'm going to look it up. Let's look it up. Who is Presley Gerber? Getting yield. I'm going to use Google. How exciting. Presley Gerber. Okay. Okay, so yeah, this is her son. Oh God. Yeah, okay, I see the misunderstood tattoo. What an idiot. I mean, also you have to like think like what's going through this person. I don't want to call him an idiot so much, but like generally, if you get like to get that tattooed on your face, I would think this person is going through some serious trauma or something because that's not normal. Why are you putting misunderstood on your face? Like, what's going on, honey? Like, do you need to talk to someone? Like, did something happen? Like, why are you doing that? Like, I don't know. What's my hair doing? Put it back there a little bit. Okay. Have I heard of Purely Elizabeth and Elmhurst? No. No. Wow, that's wild. That's pretty wild. Like, I mean, I guess you can do that. Some of these tattoos really are cries for help, you know. They really are. And people aren't even think about like what they get tattooed on themselves. Like if you see somebody with like really dark imagery, demonic things, knives, violent things. Like these are indications that somebody's going through some stuff. Like, and you want to be mindful about like what you tattoo on yourself anyway. Like, so many people get like tattoos on themselves without even thinking about it. It's actually you're permanently marking yourself with something. You're putting an energy imprint on yourself when you tattoo yourself. So, what are you imprinting yourself with? Like, are you sure you want to have like this, really dark or painful imagery? Do you want to have like a crying eye on yourself? Do you want to have like, or they'll get like Marilyn Monroe tattooed on themselves, and I'm like, she had a horrible life. Like, but be mindful about what you're putting on yourself. It says a lot. He had it removed. He may have had it removed, but the scars are still there. The scars are still inside. I'm glad he had it removed though, because yeah, he does. He has Cindy Crawford's face. Like, why would you? I don't know. Something wrong there. Something very deeply wrong with that one. Very deeply wrong with that. Very deeply wrong. Maybe he's a gray alien and he misunderstanding human intimacy. Ah. So people are boycotting Frosted Flakes because the CEO suggested that people feed their kids cereal more than once a day. I mean, you probably shouldn't be feeding your kids that, period, because it's not good for them. You know, a cereal to me is like a treat. It's not something that you should eat every day. It's like I mean, I enjoy it though, don't get me wrong. Like it's to me it's like a comfort food. That it's not something that, I think in terms of like children growing bodies, like you want them to have real food and it isn't real food. That so much of this food is just like highly processed grains, and they're highly inflammatory, and they don't really have any nutritional value that is, you know, accessible to the human digesting it. The like the iron, people are talking about it here. Yeah, Tomas is talking about it. Yeah, it's not even digestible iron that is in it. So yeah, I wouldn't eat it. I wouldn't feed it to a kid. I mean, you can feed it if their bellies need to be full, I guess. That's sad. I don't know. I thought maybe they were getting boycotted because of Israel or something. I don't know. That's sad. The poor little hungry children, they're not getting food like they used to get. Like, you know, that's not a good breakfast. You want to give your kid like eggs and some meat at breakfast, You want to give them some fat and some protein and some carbs too. So maybe something more like potatoes, or something more starchy. Maybe some grits. Grits with the cheese in it. Frederick, no. Frederick, no. Come on. Vasco is saying to eat chicken. Chicken's all right. I don't eat a lot of chicken personally. It's not my. I mean, I'll like if somebody else prepares it, I'll eat it, but I don't really like. Occasionally, I'll cook it. I do get chicken, like the rotisserie chicken, every week, but I give that to my cat. So sometimes I'll take a couple of nibs of it for myself to have in like a dish. Like I'll make like chicken quesadillas with it or something, or use it in some like chicken noodle soup. But see, that's sad. That's sad. That is sad. That is so sad. I mean, that's so sad. Just thinking about that, and that, like, again, that conversation last night where they were just like, it's just amazing to me that anybody thinks it's appropriate to have kids before you're even in a position to have kids. Or they don't understand why a woman maybe would not want to, date a man who, couldn't afford to pay for a family if he knocked her up, right? That was kind of amazing to me, like just to have that kind of conversation and people like being so incredulous about it too. That's amazing to me. I'm like, well, why would a woman put herself in a situation if she's still fertile? Why would she put herself in a situation where she could get knocked up, but her husband can't even pay her rent? Like that to me is like that's backward, and like a guy in that position who can't even afford to take care of someone, like really shouldn't be having dating. He shouldn't be having sex. If you can't afford the consequences of sex, you should not be having it. And then a woman too shouldn't be putting herself in that situation, because you have to think about the next generation as well. Like, what kind of legacy you're going to be leaving to your kids if you can't even get up and feed them a proper breakfast every morning. Is that what you want? Like, it's like that to me is just, it's so obvious. It's so obvious that that's a backwards way of doing it. Any other way is backwards. And I just, I don't know. I mean, people want their instant gratification. They want their easy sex without having to work for it. And it's widely available out there. It is what it is. Our culture is degenerate. Plenty of women are out here giving it up for nothing. And people don't even think about the long-term consequences of their behaviors. And women don't ever stop to ask themselves, like, why on earth am I sleeping with a guy who, if he impregnated me, couldn't afford to pay for me to stay home and take care of his kids and raise them right? And it's not even like that extravagant as well, because like that's the other thing too. When you have these conversations, they act like you expect a guy to be like a millionaire or something. It's just like, you don't need that, but he does need to have his money together to a certain degree where he's ready. He's ready. And this is part of why a man needs to pay on a date. It's just about showing that he is ready and willing and capable. That not only is he capable, but he is willing to provide. And he's willing to do it out of the generosity of his heart. That's the other thing too. Like, if he's not generous, then how's he going to be a good father? He's going to put you in a situation that you can't claw your way out of. You're going to be working while also trying to be a mother. You're going to end up putting your kids in daycare. They're going to end up depressed with all kinds of behavioral issues, a lack of connection to you and anyone else. You're going to miss all their like turning points in life. You're going to miss seeing them walk for the first time. You're going to miss, them talking. It's just, or you're going to palm that off on like your parents when you should be there. You want to be there, especially when they're little. It's so important to be there when they're little. So it's just amazing to me that like so many women are in this situation where, they don't even question it. They don't even think about it. Like, oh, I'm just going to keep working even though I've had kids. Like, really? Do you really want that? I don't think you do. What a mess. What a mess. That's a good question. That's a good question. Don't say loose, Tomas, not the word loose. I agree. This is a good comment. Sex needs to become a luxury again. It's gotten way too cheap. It's made people really dumb. Yeah, but asking for that is too much. You're being unreasonable. It's not too much to ask. Okay, interesting. If I could go to any university in the world, which would I choose? I haven't thought about that. Any university in the world, which one would I choose? I don't know. It's hard to say. Like, what would I really want to study that much? And I don't know that I have an answer to this question, Tomas. I haven't really thought about it. I'd need to do some research about like what would be, where I would get the kind of education that I wanted, you know, what I want to study and like where would be the best place to do that for me. That was also in like an environment that I would enjoy. Because there's a number of factors, I'd want the climate to be nice, where I'm going to school, and I'd want, the curriculum to be engaging and, stuff that I'm actually interested in. So I don't know. I have to think about that. I don't have an answer for you right now, hon. Your sisters were so unready. Are you talking about with having kids? What's the best university this side of heaven? I don't know. I don't really know. I mean, there's some good ones out there. I just haven't really thought about it. I have not thought about it. Trying to put my hair behind me. There we go. Did Hake run from you? He didn't. No, Hake did not run from Frederick. Cute. He doesn't need to. Frederick knows how to respect a person's space. Oxford because I'm Anglo simpin. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I would have to like really look at what I would have available to study there, and if it would be. I mean, it's a possibility. I wouldn't discount it. Like if I got like a full scholarship, to that university, I'd probably go. Just saying. There's a weird what's the weird you want to go to Cornell? Oh yeah, Cornell does seem interesting. Does seem like an interesting school in terms of like the US. Don't think about I mean, I don't need to go to a university. I'm not really interested at this time. It's not something I'm looking for. Frederick's like, yeah, that's right. Frederick isn't needy. He doesn't go there like simping for Hake. He's not like, notice me, James. James. Excuse me, James, can I talk to you? How's it going? You want me to do reaction videos to JLP interviews? Yeah, some of them are funny. Interesting. Are there any that you would recommend that you'd like to see me do a reaction to? Because I will record a reaction to one that you request. Like if there's a particular interview you think, I want to see Terri react to that, I would do it. I don't think I would love college. At this point in my life, why do you think I would love college? I mean, I think it would depend. It'd be like that in Portland. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, and then, yeah, somebody in the chat was like, it was Paul. Paul was saying, he's like, what if a guy had everything else going for him, but not money? And I was like, I'm like, if he doesn't have that together, he doesn't have anything else going for him. Like, and I don't say that to be like vulgar or like come across as some kind of like money hungry person. But again, like as a woman, I'm not going to put myself in a position like that with a guy who doesn't, have his money together, enough to be dating. I'm like, he wouldn't be ready to be dating. So I said that, and he said, he responded to it like, he's like, well, you're missing out then. And I'm like, what am I missing out on? Poverty? Like, I'm missing out on poverty? Okay. I'm missing out on resentment and poverty. I'm missing out on being, the breadwinner as well as a mom. I'm missing out on, like, what am I missing out on? I wouldn't put up with their shit. I mean, that's for sure. Pardon my language, but I wouldn't. You're not going to brainwash me. You're not going to, like, you're not going to get me to play along with that, nonsense that they do. I have a mind of my own. I'm not like, I'm not going to, like, agree with them lying. I remember, like, one time years ago, back in my radical feminist days, there was this woman. I'm still friends with her. She's pretty, she's a sweet woman. And she had taught. She was in university at the time, and she talked about how in her, like, women's studies class, right? In her women's studies class, they had this speaker come and talk to them who was, like, promoting sex work and talking about sex work in all these, like, glamorized ways, and all these kinds of things. And she just kind of, like, I was so proud of her because she spoke up, and she had a very, like, soft, very delicate demeanor. She has a very, like, soft voice, not a very, she has a voracious spirit, I would say this woman does, but she's not physically, intimidating. She's very, like, I don't know, just feminine. And she just spoke up and was like, how can you even, like, say that? Like, or they had made they had, like, talked about, like, how, like, they had mentioned, just, they kind of, like, glossed over the fact that, like, women of color, right, are employed in sex work, like, more than white women. And they generally start, like, earlier than white women do. So basically they're talking about young Black girls who are underage working as, prostitutes. And so she was, like, hearing this, and the way they were talking about it, kind of glossing over it, and, like, not even addressing the fact that, like, this is a really messed up thing that's happening, and it's, like, traumatizing to the young women that get sucked into this. I don't know, man. Like, these people are evil. They just indoctrinate so many with this kind of, like, fake ass liberalism that is masquerading as feminism, has nothing to do with anything empowering to women in the slightest. But but yeah, she was like, she spoke up. She was, like, so nervous too. But she had talked about it, and I was just like, well, thank God you said something, because if you didn't say something, nobody would have said something. But, like, I just imagine, like, if I were in that classroom hearing that, how I would have reacted. I'm like, okay, did you just, like, gloss over the fact that, you're talking about, like, the demographics here that you actually are showing that this is highly exploitative, illegal, immoral, evil. Like, I just can't. Avocado and potatoes with 2 over easy eggs. That sounds so good. Missing out on a pound of flesh. Oh, God. What a good way of putting it. Missing out on pleasing their egos. Poverty and misery loves company. I couldn't believe that. Like, you're missing out, Terry. What am I missing out on? Like, they think it's hard to, like, anytime I leave the house, poor men are throwing themselves at me. Like, it's not hard to get a poor man. They're like, oh, hey, little mama, can I get a ride with you? Like, come on. What, I'm missing out on, like, what? No, I'm not missing out on a damn thing. And, I think that's the reality that people don't want to acknowledge, you know, like, well, they even were talking to me about, like, God, what about, like, he's not where he needs to be, but you'll help him get there. I'm like, why do I need to, if he needs my help? No, come on. Like, and obviously if you get married, you're going to be doing better because that's just generally the process. Two people working together always make out better. So yeah, but like, again, don't marry potential, don't date potential, and don't build someone. They should be, they should have themselves together to a certain degree before you come along. Ooh, literature and art history and government. Oh, I definitely wouldn't take any gender studies classes because it would drive me insane. I mean, that would just be like a recipe for me to go off. Not at my age, maybe in my 20s. What are you talking about? What? But mid to late 30s, EXE? What are you talking about, honey? What am I too old for? What are you responding to? Well, I mean, they even like a lot of the universities here, from what I understand, even if you are taking STEM, that you are required to like learn a lot of this nonsense. Yeah, I know. It's like, okay, yeah, maybe if we're marrying at the, as young adults, okay, yeah, maybe if we're both like, 20, 21, that's different. That's very different. That's not my experience. At that age, I was not, I was a mess. I was a mess. I was not going to get married at that age. I think I wanted to. I definitely wanted to, but I wasn't going to, like, I hadn't figured it out yet. I had not figured it out. Missing out on taxes, probably. I mean, the thing is, it's just frustrating that a lot of people think that way. And that if you have like a traditional mindset, they're like, thankfully, we've moved beyond this. Like, we're beyond that now in this culture. Thank God we're no longer living in Ozzie and Harriet. I think, yeah, that's what the guy said, Ozzie and Harriet. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? And, individuals are free to have their relationships however they want to have them. We're talking about me. That's the thing that just irritates me about it. It's like, if you don't agree and you don't conduct your relationships that way, that's fine. That's your choice. That's your prerogative. I'm not going to expect you to. But if like one of my friends comes to me, one of my female friends comes to me and tells me that she goes on a date with a man and that she paid for, like, the guy asked her out on a date and then she paid for her food, I'm gonna question her about it because I want to understand why she did that. Because to me, it's like, because that's where that whole video, yeah, that's where that whole video even stemmed from that I did like back in the day talking about it. Was like, I had hung out with my friend and she had mentioned that she'd went on a date with a guy. He'd asked her on a date, and then like, when the bill came, she paid for her half, and I was just like, why? And because the guy, like, I just, I also think of it too, like, there's so many reasons why, that's wrong, and it's just, it's wrong for so many reasons. Like, for one, he asked you out, so, that would indicate that he wanted to, uh, buy you a meal. And like the meal itself that they went out for was inexpensive. So like it's not like it would have really cost him anything to like get her tab as well or pay for her sushi, whatever. I think it was sushi they went out for. I mean, really, sushi's not that expensive. Um, and then, the other thing of it too is just like the amount of like money, and she's not a young woman either. So like women of a certain age, tend to spend, and I know how much money I don't know how much money she spends on herself, but I mean, she dresses well. She, keeps herself, she spends a lot of money on herself, let's just say, her upkeep. So that to me is also indication of like, you should be in a position of receiving just because you're the feminine one. And then also like the more money he spends taking you out, the less money he has to take out other women. Like I don't even think women understand that, but like for me, that's the other thing too. It's like you're definitely gonna be, if I'm going out with a guy, he's definitely gonna be paying, because if I pay for my meal, that just gives him an opportunity to go out with another chick if his money's not right. That just gives him an opportunity to go out on another date and another date and another date. And I'm like, no, you won't buy my meal. Oh my goodness. Women used to take Miles Davis out. Oh dear. Mm. I'll spoil my bae if I knew she was as interested in me as I was her. Are you quoting something? That's funny. You had a girl pay for her meal once. Did you feel emasculated, or were you just like, eh? That's the other thing too. Like, I think guys like to pick it up, and also like, I want a man that goes out with me to feel like a man. Like, I want to. I take effort to look cute and girly. And then when that bill comes, I want him to like, take out his wallet. I want him to have that feeling, of being a man and being, masculine and providing and like, having, I think that's another part of it too. Like he looks a lot better as a man if he's picking up the tab. If I'm splitting the bill with him, how does he look like to the staff there? Not, I mean, not that you should care what the staff think, but I mean, really, I think it emasculates if I'm like, oh no, I'll get my half. Like, why? Jazz folks got lots of tail. Don't call it tail. No, no, not the term tail. I shouldn't think like what? What are you referring to, hon? Oh, in favor of me. I mean, oh yeah, yeah, I imagine it's emasculating as hell. Like, oh, I'll pay for all of our meal. I'm like, is it your birthday? Like, I don't know. Sometimes it's just a test. Anyway, I don't like to go off about that topic for like ever, but that's right. Exactly. Frederick knows. Exactly. I'm like, why am I going to give you money so you can take someone else out? Like, I want it to hurt. I want you to I want you to be like, damn, I'm paying a lot for women. Like, yeah, I want you to figure out that you like me more and that, you take me out more because you like the feeling that you get with me than the girl that was like, oh, I'll get mine. Okay. Like, no, that I'm not giving a guy an opportunity to have extra money to take any other women out. No way. Honey, women are, have women been, how do women test you? How do they test you? Romance is for women and Italians. Hopeless romantic. Oh, no, it's okay to be romantic, but put it in the right context, and don't understand that reality isn't that way. Okay? Like, understand that life isn't that way. You can have moments of romance, and, really it comes down to figuring out the best way to take that romantic side of yourself and put it in the world. So for me, I like to do little loving things for people. um, you know I think that's something. And also, like, when you do find a special someone, like, you don't want to like turn the like you don't want to like turn the hose on them and like smother them with romance, because that can be a lot. But like, you know on the times when it's appropriate, like, you can take that energy and like funnel it into the right person. So I think that's, it's stupid because you're like looking for romance everywhere. And it's like, really, you need to find somebody who is going to be a good companion to you, who's going to be loyal and good to you, who respects you, and who you respect, and who you can be proud of. And, figure out how to funnel that romantic energy into them in the proper way when it's right. So, like, it's her birthday, what are you going to do that's special for her? Like, what are the little ways you're going to show your appreciation? How are you going to be tender? That kind of thing. Like, a lot of the times I think men don't realize, like, romance to women, it's just simple little things. So, just, be affectionate, that kind of thing. Some women are looking for that. Some women do want a man that's more affectionate. So, you'll figure it out, Vasco. You'll figure it out. But don't be living in, la la land, and understand that life really isn't so fantastical, and love isn't that fantastical either. It's pretty mundane day to day, but there are things you can do to bring the romance out and be sweet and tender and romantic, and it's fun. It can be fun. Romance is fun. It is fun. And a lot of men aren't romantic, so you will have an advantage if you do find a wife. You'll be able to know how to be romantic, and thus, she'll have something to brag about. I'm setting him up to fail, monopolize his resources. Oh my goodness. Tender pentagrass. Stop. Women just want to be pampered. True. We want to be spoiled and pampered. Russian women do not enjoy romance. Well, okay, then he should find himself a woman from like a romantic area, like, find a Mediterranean woman, a French woman, maybe even a Latin woman, Spanish, Hispanic. Get you a woman from a warmer climate. Where they need a little bit of that. So just be careful. Like, yeah, don't marry somebody that's not romantic. Simping. Y'all talking about simping. Simping. What is simping? Shout out to that Iberian who called the JLP show. Oh yeah. S.A. Brady says that Russian is romantic. I agree. I think Russians can be very romantic. I don't agree. They have this they have a very cold kind of exterior. I think they have like a stoic kind of exterior, but don't get it twisted. They get very warm. They can be very warm people too. So, yeah. What was her name? Marie. That was sad. She didn't realize that he didn't like her. Her boyfriend didn't like her. She was like, I think he's embarrassed because his job is not good and he doesn't want to meet my family. I'm like, no, honey. He was just looking for someone to screw. And you let him hit it and now he's quit it. He don't want to meet your family. He had no intention of meeting your family. But she seemed nice. She seemed very sweet and nice. I mean, 27, and people give in to their urges. It does happen. So, hopefully she just learns from it. Fred, my God, please. The JK, I don't believe you. I think you're FR. I don't think you're JK. I think you're FR. Oh my goodness. Frederick's like JK when he means FR. She got played and she's still waiting. I know. I commented like a couple times in the chat. I was like, he don't like you, caller. He don't like you. Like, I don't know. Like, it's not that mysterious. Like, if he doesn't want to meet your family, he doesn't want to meet your family. He's not ready to take it to the next step. I don't know. I don't know why people do this with themselves. Like, they always want to understand why. Like, it doesn't really even matter why. It's like the why is kind of irrelevant. Why do people always want to understand the motivations of others? They think if they understand how the other person is thinking or feeling, then that's somehow going to change things, that they'll be able to work it out. And it's like, if they wanted to be there, they would. Even if his job isn't great, if he really was serious about her, he would be willing to meet her family. He would be willing to speak to her father and, say, I really care for your daughter. I want to have a future with her. He would have a frank conversation, with her father about his prospects. Her father might give him advice. Like, this is what men who are generally like interested in a woman do, especially like with the traditional stuff. So she's like living at home, in the US, that's a lot rarer. It doesn't happen so much. So like most women her age in the US aren't living at home. Well, I don't know, maybe they are now. Because these Gen Zs, they live at home A lot of them live at home. Lady, you're cooked. That's the closure. Oh man. Yeah, I know. I know. It can be hard, you know. She brought the parents into the equation after he hit. I know that's the other thing too. It's like I think she probably thought that having sex would bring them closer together and kind of move the relationship forward, but you know, that's not if he's serious about you, you don't need to do that, you know? If a guy like really, you know, wants to be with you in the right way, sleeping with him isn't going to, you know, it's not going to make things happen quicker or better. You know, it just, to me, it became very clear just from reading, not reading, but listening to her that he did, you know, it was one of those situations where he just wasn't serious about her. And then they slept together. She got emotionally hooked because that's usually what happens when women let a guy hit. And then, you know, she stopped thinking clearly. She stopped seeing the situation clearly. And, you know, when he left, she became emotionally disturbed by it, you know, which is fair. I mean, she's going through it, you know, it's sad. It's just also kind of sad because she's like 27. It's like in the US, women learn this lesson like usually in their teens. For better or worse. So the fact that she was 27 calling about it, I was like, dang. She had a nice voice though, didn't she? She sounded really sweet. What was this? Oh, sorry, Fred. Let me try to follow what you're saying. Epistemology, that's my new title. To understand why people believe what they believe and how. I almost told Jesse that today, but I stayed quiet or stayed patient at church and didn't say anything at all at church. It's an interesting church. Lord have mercy. I can't be clicking on that comment. Fred. Yeah, no, she wasn't a victim. I wasn't implying she was a victim. But I think, you know, this is the thing. I don't think women realize a lot of time how sensitive they are and how, you know, sleeping with a man can make them not see things clearly. You know, and it's not about victimhood. It's not about saying, you know, he took advantage of her. He didn't. But she allowed herself to be, you know, put in that situation. And, you know, she sounded pure, but she is clearly cooked. Oh, goodness. She seems sweet. I wish her well. I wish Marie well. Marie in Spain. May you be well, Marie. Oh, goodness. I mean, it's Jesse is very helpful with people that call in, I think, especially the women that call in. He's very sensitive to them. Not all of them. Not all at all, but most. It is interesting to listen to, though, to hear these like different women. Yeah, I'm trying to think. I just think a lot of women get in that position too. Like, I just think it's very common that, and we don't really talk about it either. Like, there's so many reasons why it's not a good idea to, you know, bring that into the relationship outside of marriage. There's just so many reasons why it's going to cause problems. Oh my goodness. Frederick. Oh my God. I'm laughing because I've seen this happen. I've seen this happen. Yeah, I've seen women. But like at that point, it's like, why are you going back? Like, why are you going back? Like, don't go back. This is the thing with people. Like, you know, don't go backward. Okay? If it's over, it's over. If he dumped you, it's over. Move on. Why are you going back? Are you going back so that you can get hurt again? Are you going back so that you can get mistreated again? Are you going back so that you can get used again? Like why? Why? And when people who've mistreated you come back into your life, like, try to like, get in or see if they can get in. They're trying to see if they can do it again. And this goes for men and women. This goes for men and women. If a woman is hitting you up that did you dirty before, like, and she's sorry, who cares? Wish her well, but don't bring her back into your life. And if a man is doing it to you, or a woman is doing it to a woman, or a man is doing it to a man, like, forgive people, don't hold on to the anger, but like, don't let people back in your life. Like, don't let them have access to you, if they've done you dirty. If you can, you can't trust them. Yeah, that's oftentimes too. People want revenge. They get their confidence back and they're like, I'm going to come back and destroy this person. I'm like, why don't you move on with your life and live it in the right way and learn from your mistakes instead of being so evil? That's a good point. Matthew got a good point. Desperate, emotional, and they want attention, good or bad. Yeah, that's a real problem. The attention thing. It is addictive. And yeah, people who are addicted to attention will take any attention. And that puts them in a bad situation sometimes. I need to get off of here soon. I've been on for long enough. She's not making her family think she's a hoe laying down. Frederick. If you're not ready for a baby, sometimes a baby is the blessing you get. Good God. I guess. I don't know. I mean, my father always used to say that to me. He always would tell me that I saved his life, that he was out of control and crazy, and that, like, having, my mother having me and my mom, having me, it was a thing, it was the catalyst for him to get his life together. And for him to like grow up and be responsible. So yeah, I do think that a baby can be a blessing. But again, like, my upbringing was very unusual, and it was difficult for me, and I'm grateful for my life. I'm happy about it, but I still think things should have been done in the right way, because that's a lot of brokenness to unravel as an adult. When you're raised in a broken family, you don't learn the proper way of doing things. And so, you go out into the world and you don't really have any kind of framework to understand how is a relationship supposed to work. Our relationship, how is it, you may want to get married, but like, you haven't seen a marriage. I don't know. are you talking about Marie? Marie in Spain? Gracias a la vida. Thank you. It's not fair to the child. Yeah, I mean, I know. I think a lot of people put that they make their child, they make an idol of their child too. Like my dad did that with me a lot. Like, and I remember when I started going to church and when I got saved. You know, when I was active in my church, and my dad started coming too to support me. But I remember him telling me like that the pastor was giving a sermon about how you're not supposed to put anything before God, not even your own kids, not your family, not your spouse, you know, not your child. God has to come first. And my dad like sat me down like after that, and he's like, yeah, I can't ever be a Christian because I could never, you know, love God more than you. And I was just like, you know, I'm like 8 years old hearing this from him and like just trying to understand, like, obviously that's a nice thing to hear as a child, like that my daddy loves me so much. But does he? Because he doesn't know God's love, you know? He doesn't know God's love in that sense. Fred should give the females respect. We are very dear, you know, we're very dear and we should be cherished and respected and cared for lovingly and gently. Homeboy is running the streets of Spain like he's Ronaldo. Stop. Good night, Frederick. I wish you well, hon. That's the point of, yeah, exactly. Yeah, that came up in the conversation yesterday too with Adam about Abraham sacrificing Isaac. Yeah, I mean, you have to be prepared. You have to be prepared as a Christian to put God first. You have to put God first. It's before any other relationship in your life, even your kids. There may come a point where you have to put God before your kids. And that's scary to think of for a parent because you love these gifts so much, but God is the one who gave them to you in the first place, you know? So I don't know. It's just kind of interesting. Why did I get on this topic? What was I responding to? But yeah, just a baby. Yeah, how it's not fair to the child. It's also not fair to the child, I think, yeah, to put that level on them. You know, for me, like, as I always felt like because my dad, like, had that perspective and, like, you know, told me that I was the thing that saved his life, you know, that got him to like stop being so self-destructive. I mean, he never stopped being self-destructive. Like he had so many demons that just he had to deal with. Like, you know, but that is an unfair thing to put on a child, I think. Like, you know, putting your kid isn't there to save you. Your kid is a gift, you know, from God to you. And a kid will help you get your life in order, sure. But man, wouldn't it be better if you already had your life in order and then brought them in? Was my dad a felon? Did he commit any felonies? I don't think he committed any felonies. He never served serious time. He committed some crimes, yeah, but he never served any serious time for anything. I think but my grandmother did accuse him of like attempted murder at one point, but she dropped that charge because it was, you know, made up when he ran away. he ran away from home as a teenager. He lived with his grandparents and he couldn't deal with them. So, but no, daddy was not a felon. Daddy was not a felon. My dad was, it was an interesting dude. Like, and he wasn't like, he definitely he had some edge to him. You know, he was a very big guy. He was very strong. He worked as a bouncer for a number of years. He had some pretty sick tattoos, you know. I mean, yeah, I mean he committed some crimes. He never served any time for any of the crimes he did though. He never like got to that point. But yeah, I mean, he definitely had done things that in his life that were illegal, you know. But, you know, a lot of us have, if we're honest. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's a good way of putting it, Matthew. Thank you. I like your insight about this. Yeah, that's true. I think, yeah, that's more what the kid does. It's very hard to not to put my kids first, and I know I die before them. Well, no, I mean, that's what love is. Love is to lay down your life for someone if it came down to it. But I mean, you know, there may come a point, you know, in life, you never know what's going to happen, that God might have to come first. The right thing might have to come before, you know, the kid. And I think that's what that means. It's like, well, what happens if your kid does something like, you know, that. Wow, wow. Y'all know, okay? No, 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 no. Don't get it twisted. My dad was not hiding out in Alaska. He was not legally interesting in that respect. He never had anything like that on him. He definitely was involved with things he shouldn't have been at some certain points in his life, but it was never that serious, and he was never the kind of person to like do anything seriously criminal. He had a drug problem when, you know, around the time that I was conceived. Okay. He and my mom both did. So, you know, the fact that they created this kid gave him the impetus to stop doing that kind of life, having that kind of lifestyle. So, you know, when I talk about like the criminality, like, you know, it's not that serious. I mean, it's criminal, but it's not like anything that serious. He wasn't evading anything. And my dad went to Alaska because his mother was there. My grandmother had relocated up there. And she was living there with her husband, my grandfather, and her daughters. And my dad, you know, was encouraged to go up there for work during the 80s because there was a lot of jobs around. It was the oil rush. They were building the oil pipeline. So there were a lot of jobs not only related to like the oil industry, but also just catering to people working in the oil industry. So that's how he wound up there. And then my mom she was more legally interesting, I would say. My mom's legally interesting, but she was in some ways hiding, I would say. Her previous boyfriend was a bad dude, and she did go up to Alaska to kind of get away from him so that she wouldn't be kind of, you know, caught up in his lifestyle. So, ways. All right, Matthew. Dang. Matthew coming for me. I don't really have advice about like kids per se. I don't have advice about kids. I just have, it's understanding, I'm talking about like my experience with my father. It's flattering to a kid to hear that like your parent loves you more than they love God, but that isn't what's right for a kid. I guess that's kind of, that was flattering to my ego as a child. But to me, it's like, at the time I knew it was wrong because it just is. It just is. There has to come a point where like you do have to like love what's right more than anything else. And you do have to love God first. Because when you do that, everything else naturally flows and you set the right example. I hear some of the Bond guys talk and I just giggle. I know. Why don't they have any white babies? They're always coming for Hake, being like, why don't you have any white babies? I'm like, come on. Give him a break. He's probably not ready yet. I know Nick's going to have 5 baby girls. He's going to have girl after girl. He's going to keep impregnating his wife when he gets one. And she's going to have girl after girl after girl. Every gender reveal, it's going to be pink. God, you imagine Joel as a dad? Oh my goodness. He'll probably have some girls too. They're both going to have like, Nick's going to just have 5 girls and then his wife's going to tell him, I'm done. I'm not having any more kids. They're going to have that conversation. And then with Joel, he's going to have 3 girls. 3 girls. And then he's going to have then he's going to have his son. And let's see. Hake did not have an immoral phase. You can't say that no, don't say that. No, Hake immoral? I don't believe that. I don't believe that at all. That's crazy. That's the craziest thing I've ever heard. Tomas says there is no excuse for Hake. What do you mean? Hey, okay, like, well, let's just be, here's the excuse. Here's the excuse. He hasn't found someone that he wants to marry. I think from what I would say this about any man, like I respect a man who like doesn't marry a woman for the wrong reasons, then gets married real early because it's the right thing to do. Like he probably wasn't ready in his like 20s or 30s. Who knows? I'm just saying, like, I don't know. I don't think there's anything wrong with a guy not getting married and not having kids if he hasn't met somebody that he doesn't want to do that with. Like, I mean, like not everybody finds someone too, like that they want to marry. And this is just to me, like, it's also nobody else has been like, I haven't gotten married. A lot of people look at me like, why isn't she married? She's pretty and she's this, that, and the third. And it's like, well, honestly, like through most of my life, I wasn't in any position to. So like, if it's meant to be, he'll find someone. If it's meant to be, Nick will find someone. If it's meant to be, Joelle will find someone. Like, but I do think, it's important for people not to do that for the wrong reasons. And I think a lot of people do it in the wrong spirit. You know what I mean? Like I do think a lot of people go into it in the wrong spirit and not a loving spirit, and just it is something that should be kind of taken more seriously. So I don't look at someone and think, oh, why hasn't this person gotten married and had kids yet? Like, and also he's a man. He has plenty of time to make kids, to, Hank is not 50. He's 42. He is 42. 42 is like young for a man. Like, a lot of men don't have kids until like their mid to late 40s or 50s. Men can have kids at many age. He's going to be fertile for a long time. All right. So he's probably just waiting until it's right. I mean, I don't know. It's not my business. It is not my business. And it's not anyone's business. Like, also, like, 42 is not old. Just because you had kids young doesn't mean 42. Plenty of people have kids in their 40s. That is not old. Bro is not going to have energy for a 3-year-old at 50. What the hell are you talking about? I disagree. I disagree. Totally disagree. The thing is, many people lie. That's the issue. Hello, Justin Michaels. Welcome to the chat. I don't know who you are, but welcome. I had kids at 35 and I'm old. Oh, poor you. Poor you. I'm there, Terry. Well, I don't. Again, he'll be fine. If he wants to have kids, he'll have kids. If he doesn't, I don't know. Even if he wants to have kids, he may not find someone he wants to have kids with. That's kind of serious. Finding somebody that you're compatible with, that you want to marry, that you want to like, and marriage is service, and being a husband is like a serious responsibility. It's not something that men should take lightly. You know what I mean? Like, I'd rather, I think it's good for men to wait until they're mature and ready. And I think it's sensible. Imagine working for Jesse. Lord. Man, why are we talking about this? This is weird. This is weird. Like, again, it's like, we don't know what's best for him. We don't know what's best for any of them. A black person of hair color and have a woke baby. Men pursue responsibility. Do I believe in the zombie apocalypse? No. That's your point. What do you mean? Well, what is the most responsible thing? What is the most responsible thing? There's more than one way to be responsible. Sometimes being responsible is not going into something you're not prepared for. Sometimes that's the most responsible thing. And there's more than one way to like have a legacy. There's more than one way to have a legacy. I think that's the other thing about marriage too. It's like, I think somebody in my chat, I don't remember who, but said if you're not going to have kids, there's no point in getting married. But I don't agree. Like, marriage is about service and it's about legacy. So, you know, maybe somebody doesn't have kids, but maybe they serve in another way and they have a legacy. Marriage would still be an institution that helps a person achieve more and do more in the world. So I don't, yeah, I agree that marriage is about kids, but it's not the only reason to get married. And just because you get married doesn't mean you're going to have kids. What if one of you is infertile? You may find that you're shooting blanks. You get married, you may find that your sperm ain't no good, or her eggs are no good, or she has some other sort of condition that she didn't know about. Like, kids aren't guaranteed. So, like, I just think, how do you know what you were ready for if you didn't agree to the challenge? I mean, I don't know. I think you can know that you're not ready. I think there's ways of knowing you're not ready. Um, Tomas, Tomas, please. Tomas taking it all personal. Tomas is like, how dare you question my seed? Tomas will not have his seed questioned. Oh, that's funny. Oh my goodness. Too funny. Too funny. We're a silly bunch here. But yeah, I just think, yeah, you could say you don't know what you're ready for, but I do think there are ways of knowing that you're not ready as well. You may not be financially at a point where where you can provide in any capacity. That's a good way of knowing. Um, you may want to have certain things in order before you're ready, or you may just feel like it's not something you want. That could be it too. It could be any number of things. But anyway, enough. We have talked this through enough. But yeah, if they do, if the bond men have kids, I'm praying they all have girls first. Just just for the thrill of it. And I know Nick gonna have 5 girls. He's gonna have 5 girls. Well, that's what he gets for that tutu question. Going in the VR and asking these different people, like, if your daughter had a school recital and she was doing it with her mom, but then her mom couldn't, your wife couldn't, would you put on the tutu and perform in the recital with her or whatever it was? It was just, that was hilarious. I was like, man, you need to be careful with this, because God's going to send you some daughters. I can guarantee. God will be sending him a whole mess of daughters for that. It would be a laugh. It'd be great. I mean, imagine. It'd be sweet. There's nothing wrong with having daughters, obviously. Daughters are great. Little girls are just like, they're so cute. You get to dress them up in all kinds of funny things. They grow into women, and Ain't nobody has a like, there's no like, there's no woman in a man's life like his daughter, the effect that a daughter has on a father. I mean, every dad pretty much, they become very, beta, we'll just say. And all dads of daughters are beta. It's just you can't help it. It's what happens. I know mine was. He was beta before. Nick doesn't know the secret, Matthew, but my dad passed it on to me as the firstborn son. It's a sacred secret. Y'all silly. That is some nonsense. Hey, no, I was the firstborn. I wasn't the firstborn. I'm not my mom. I'm my mom's second kid, so I guess I'm not. My mom had my older brother when she was 16. So, but I'm my dad's only born. I'm my dad's only child. So I was his firstborn and his only born. He didn't have no other babies. And I think it turned out pretty good. I think, if you're gonna have one kid, it's all fake. We don't know anything. Y'all, yeah, I know. I know you have some sort of plots, but women have our plots too. There's books you can buy about like predicting the sex of your child, and if you have intercourse on certain days of your cycle, and you can pretty easily predict or you can more easily predict what sex the child will be. So, I mean, it's out there. I know women who've done it. They wanted a girl, so they tracked their ovulation cycle and, got their husbands to do the deed on that day, and then they got they got their girl. So it is what it is. There's technology out there. Reading books. Yeah, if you read books before you do it, then you'll have a girl. That's how it works, Tomas. Have I ever had Arby's? Have I ever had Arby's? I have had Arby's. I used to love getting their mozzarella sticks. I used to hit them up and their curly fries. Yeah, I've had Arby's. I don't really like Arby's. Where is my brother? My older brother is in New York. Yeah, he lives in upstate New York. My younger brothers are in Florida. Yeah, my older brother lives in upstate New York. I might explode. Let's see this drawing. It looks wicked. Oh my goodness. Don't draw it. Your little sis is in Florida. I just found out the sex of my brother's child. My younger brother has knocked up his girlfriend, which is great. I haven't seen anything about them getting married, but I'm hoping that they will. Anyway, but yeah, they posted the gender reveal today, and it's going to be a girl. So that's exciting. His first, and it's her first girl, so that's exciting. I'm hoping that it works out well for them. I mean, I love my little brother. He's a very deep soul. So yeah, they will be white babies. Although that depends on your definition of white, because my younger brothers are They're white, but they're also not, depending on how you define it. Another man without the knowledge. Well, I'm happy. I'm going to have a little baby niece. I'm excited. I'm going to have a little niece. Stop. Deep soul, but you got no secret. It's okay. I did nothing wrong. Yeah, I wouldn't say, yeah, no. But I don't know. It's exciting. A little girl, a little niece. Oh my goodness. And it's exciting. Yeah, I have a nephew. My older brother has a nephew, or my older brother has a son. So yeah, and then my brother's wife. She had kids as well, so I do consider her kids my nieces and nephews. But one biological nephew, and then like the other nephew and niece. But yeah, this one's the first like biological niece. So it's exciting. It's exciting. What is the ethnicity? Well, my stepfather is Jewish, so my two younger brothers are like half Jewish and Italian and Irish on my mom. So oh, that's great. A little baby girl. Yeah, well, I love little babies. Why do you want kids or get married? It's a man made prison. 100. Hmm. Interesting. I mean, I would like to get married because I'm ready to. I'm ready to kind of like be in that position, I think. Um, I have love to give. I have love in me that I want to give, I guess, in that capacity. That's kind of how I see it. I have love to give. So, and I think that's the best way to give it. Matthew wants to be at the wedding. I got jokes. All right, Matthew. I have to think about it, like wedding, reception. I can't think. You, Thomas, and Matthew are because you guys have kids, maybe married, and simping hard here. What? Where does the love come from? It comes from God. It comes from God. The love comes from God. God has put his love in me. And I think, I know, I guess, what it means now, and I'm prepared, I think. That's just how I see it. And if it doesn't happen, it doesn't happen. But like, it's something that I think would be just something I'd like to experience. You talk about it being a prison. It isn't. It isn't a prison. We live in a society where it's very easy to get out of these things, but I'm not that kind of person. I think I have the temperament, for marriage. I'm very stable, and I'm very kind of just loyal and very, especially to the people I love. I'm very, very much oriented that way. I'm also very traditional. So to me, it just is, it seems like the right thing. It's something I'm interested in. It's something that I'm open to and that I don't want to say looking for, but like, you know, I still got it, I still got it. The men still approach with romantic intent. So, I still, I agree. I agree. We've talked about this before on the channel where it's like, that which binds you can free you. That which, you know, restricts us can be very freeing to us because if we restrict ourselves or bind ourselves in one capacity, it can enable all these other parts of us to grow and expand. It can provide, if we just get a handle on one thing, then it can have wonders. And I'm just kind of that's kind of just the way I am. I'm kind of that way. Thanks, Justin. That's nice. That's nice. Yeah, that's true. It's just it's like another stage. It's like, yeah, it's taking on more responsibility, taking on like you take on a lot. You're taking on more responsibility, you're taking on another person and all of their stuff. It's to me it's just another phase of life. It's like a more advanced phase too. It's like it's like an adult, it's like you become even more like actualized through it, and it's a way to serve as well. So I think of it in that capacity, like, if I were to get married, then what would that marriage enable for me, for my husband, for the community at large, for society at large? Like, and I see it being a positive thing. This is interesting. Do I think a man needs to get down on one knee? No, I don't think so. I mean, I'm not going to judge a man if he does. It's kind of like it's a thing in our culture, like it's become very commonplace. So I'm not going to be like, no, he shouldn't. But like, to me, it's not like, I don't really have a hard opinion about it, really. Like, if a guy does it, okay, let's say, I mean, I've had a couple marriage proposals. Okay, so we'll get this out of the way. Like, I have been proposed to twice in my life. So one guy did get on his knees. So I didn't like that. I didn't like, there were a lot of things I didn't like about that situation. And the way he proposed to me and the fashion in which he proposed to me was, it wasn't right. It wasn't right. And him being on his knees, like, it just, yeah, the whole thing wasn't right. I was like, and I mean, I thought I was in love with him. I wasn't, but at the time I thought I was in love with him. But like the way he did it, I was just like, and the reason he did it, it was wrong. It was wrong. Like I was like, I can't marry you. Like, yeah, I thought I was in love with him at the time. I was like, because how do I put this? Like he wasn't. He was doing it, so he just like pulls this out of nowhere in an attempt to like. I think he did it to appease me, so I would stick around. And I was just like, no, I'm not gonna. And he didn't even say, "Will you marry me?" He said, "Will you engage yourself to me?" So yeah, maybe that wasn't a marriage proposal. Maybe that wasn't a marriage proposal because he said, "Yeah, will you engage yourself to me?" What the hell is that? Maybe I've only had one marriage proposal, alas, and one proposal of engagement. Whatever. Kneeling is idolatry. I am a bit of a heartbreaker. Like, no, I mean, I, who said that? I do. I know we're missing Amy. I haven't heard from Amy in a few days. He was insane. This guy was insane. He was insane. Like I'll just say that about him. Totally insane. So, and like obviously I didn't agree to engage myself to him because I felt wrong about it. And obviously our relationship deteriorated after that, and he ended up like starting a new relationship while we were still deteriorating. He ended up moving, and he asked me to like engage myself to him so that we would stay together. But I was like, that's not right. you know, it was weird. He was insane. I forgive him. You know what? He couldn't help himself. He had his mama's spirit in him. So he all is forgiven. But yeah, just when I think about it now, I'm just like, God, that was so lame. Um, so yeah, I don't think a guy needs to get on his knees to propose marriage. Matthew asking me hypothetical questions. If Ben Shapiro, I like this one. If Ben Shapiro then kneeled down and geared his tiny hat to you, what do you mean geared? Geared his tiny hat to me? Do you mean gives it to me? I don't understand. And said, "Will you marry me?" What happens next? Well, first off, I'm going to ask him if he's still married. So, and if he is, then I would ask him to, okay, so you mean he took his yarmulke off and like held it in his hands as he's kneeling down before me asking this? And put the tiny hat over his heart, y'all. I like this fantasy where this is happening. Yeah, so I guess, I would be concerned because I know he's already married. So I would be asking him about that situation. Is he willing to divorce his current wife and marry me? And, I would tell him, if you're willing to divorce your wife, then yes, I will marry you. But he has to do that first. I would not ask him to kill her. Jeez, come on, Matthew. I would not ask him to kill her. You a mess. I would. He is what? He he's cute. I can't help it. He's cute. I like Ben Shapiro. Y'all. I don't know what to say. He's got it going on. I find him attractive. I'm not ashamed of it. I'm not wrong. He has a lot of good qualities. I don't think it would ever happen given his value system. He doesn't seem like the kind of guy to divorce his wife. If he did come to me and tell me that he was going to divorce her, that he knew for a fact that I was, his, you know, he felt that he knew that he wanted me to be his wife, yeah, I think it's a bit immoral to think about. Like, I'll say that I don't like thinking about it too much because of that. But like, if you're asking me honestly, like, if that happened and he said that, and he agreed to divorce his wife and he went through with that, would I marry him? Hell yes, I would. Indeed, I would. I would not marry Joel Osteen. I would be his mistress, but I would not marry him. And Joel Osteen would exclaim as he cries, "A little new wife, new life, wipes away his tears." S.A. Brady's like, lol. He has been pretty clear that he values a partner of Jewish genetics. Well, he said that his wife is actually like not. She's what is the difference? He's Ashkenazi. She's like Sephardic or something. I don't know what the exact like meaning is, but apparently like he's the pure blood or something, and she's not. And he called his children half breeds or something. He said something like that, and like he made a joke about it. He said his kids were like half breeds or something. So I think it's not so much the genetics; it's the values that he's interested in. So he wants someone but they're like Orthodox, which is intense. I don't know. Maybe I wouldn't marry him, but like if he divorced his wife, he probably wouldn't be an Orthodox Jew anymore. So what would he be? I mean, where would it fit in? Like, what kind of life would we have? It's hard, and then it's like an interfaith marriage too. Like, but for Ben, I would. Normally, I would not consider an interfaith marriage, but for Ben, I definitely would. And my mother married a Jewish man, and he takes very good care of her. So I don't know. Like, I'm sure, he would not dye his hair blue, Matthew. He would not dye his hair blue. And if he did become more liberal, I might be a good wife for him because I would be able to help him navigate that. Yeah, I would be a great wife. Now you asked if who asked if would I be his second wife? No. I would never ever 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 do polygamy. Ever. Would never, ever do polygamy. That is so ghetto. No way. Don't let Ben Shapiro get in the way of my destiny. Are you talking about Joel Osteen? Joel Osteen, my husband, that you know, my new husband. Oh, goodness. Okay, I don't know. I don't know anything about it. I thought it was funny. What do I think of Owen Benjamin? I don't really know much about him. Like, I've only heard of him, and like he's been like politically persecuted, right? He was unfairly like put in prison. I don't remember what for though. I can't say that I know much about it. I don't just can y'all tell me like why did he get jailed? I know he's out now, but it was like messed up. Yeah, I don't. The fun line of thought, yeah. It is fun thinking about what my life with Ben Shapiro would be like. I would be a good wife to him. I would be a very good wife to him. He's very cute. He's cute. I can't help it. He's just cute. I don't know. So it's like his whole thing. He's smart. He's multifaceted. He's, I don't know. He's good looking as well, but his personality is also cute. I don't know. Like it's not just his looks. It's like the personality is cute. I can't help it. It's endearing. Like it's yeah. That I'm not gonna click on that comment, Matthew. So he was involved in Jan 6. Okay. He was involved in January 6th, and he is against child transformer. That's good. I mean, we have that in common. Oh, so you're from like the deep Mormon stuff? You're from like Sister Wives territory, AUB, or some other like small like sect like that? I mean, just yeah, it's a mess. Like, it's not a life that I think is okay at all. Like, it's very destructive to the families. You know, it's a very destructive lifestyle. Polygamy is. I don't think it's something that I want for myself or my children. You know, you know what I mean? Like, it is. The way that they live is generally really bad. You know, they tend to be, you know, these polygamist families, the mothers that aren't married to the husband, like legally tend to be drains on the taxpayer. I don't want to say this to be vulgar, but like they do end up having to, or often taking, you know, welfare money and WIC and all other kinds of programs to help feed their kids. The father is not really able to parent the children because there's so many of them. You know what I mean? Like that's really a destructive thing in and of itself. Like and also there's no way that you can really treat there's no way you can treat multiple wives in any way the same because they're completely different people. You're not going to love them all the same. You're not going to like them all the same, you know. And I just, I'm a fan of Sister Wives. You know, I've watched it over the years, and I think it's, you know, there it's pretty telling. You know, it's pretty telling what's happened in that family. And this is, they were supposed to be like a modern, you know, progressive, somewhat normal family. Like, and even though they were, because of the show, like put in burden on the taxpayer. Is that a real thing? Yes, it's very common. This is a big part of why polygamy is so looked down upon. It's because it is so ghetto. You have one guy having like sometimes 18, 20, 30 kids that he can't afford to pay for. All the mothers are, you know, if he's got multiple wives, but he's only legally married to one, he only legally has responsibility to that wife. The other wives generally do have to take, you know, and get government assistance. And they do it under the pretense of being single women because the man isn't living in their house. He usually will come by once a week. You know, it's not very different than being a single mother, really. The situation isn't. So it's ghetto. It's really ghetto. It's not very different from like, you know, a guy having a bunch of baby mamas or something. It's not really different. It's just done under the veneer of respectability because it's like a religious thing. But like the actual effects of it in the community and the effects of it on society at large are pretty telling. So anyway, like back to Sister Wives. It's the thing I love about that show is it just exposes, like, even under the best circumstances where they have money, where they have, you know, like resources, it's still a terrible idea. It's still a terrible idea. It's been devastating to the kids. The kids are all messed up in that family, all messed up. Um, you know, one of them just committed suicide, for God's sakes. You know, like I've been thinking about whether I want to talk about that too, like because it's you know, I'm kind of shocked. I love that kid, like Garrison. He's one of Janelle's kids. So the second wife's, I think he's her second born son. Like the first wife only had one child, and her lack of fertility was, you know, a problem. And it's just, you know, the neglect. There's so much neglect. Apart from like the wives being neglected, the children get neglected. There's favoritism, and this is human nature. You really can't do anything about it. You know, if you prefer one woman over another, you're going to prefer her kids. You know, you're going to spend more time with her kids because you prefer being in her company at her home. Like, it's just, it's terrible. It's terrible. Like, it's terrible. And there's just been such, you know, I don't want to say all their kids are a mess. Some of the kids are, you know, really, they've grown into be really good adults. You know, they're living the right way. None of the kids are interested. The other thing is, like, none of the kids from this family have chosen the polygamous lifestyle for themselves. And that's pretty telling. Like, they had 18 kids. So the fact that none of them so far have chosen polygamy when the majority of them are grown now is pretty telling. Yeah, I don't know. There's a whole lot with it that just is, I think, wrong. And I believe, I don't know. Like I just don't think that's the right way. It's not the right way to live. It's not the right way to do things. It's not the right way to have a family. That Muslim woman that was on the fallen state is crazy, and she's trying to find more wives for her husband. Like, she's insane. I just say that, like, even in cultures that permit it, it's just I don't agree with it. I don't like it. I think it's ghetto. It is ghetto in most circumstances. And then you have to also deal with the fact that, like, apart from like the ghetto-ness and the like welfare fraud of it, because there is a man involved. Apart from that, it's just, oh, these communities, neglect of children is rampant. Plenty of kids don't have like health care. This is the other thing too with so many of them, because the husband is only married to one of the women legally. He doesn't provide health care for a lot of the kids. So a lot of the kids go through medical neglect. If you're not the legal wife in these circumstances, you have nothing. You have nothing. And I don't think that's a position a woman should put herself in as well. Like, if you aren't like legal wife, you're not real. It isn't real. Like, all these people talk about spiritual marriage, or like, oh yeah, we're not going to do any paperwork. I'm like, you better do paperwork. But there's going to be paperwork. The paperwork's going up. Like, we're going to have paperwork. The paperwork's important. The paperwork is like, what happens in an emergency. The paperwork is like, what happens when you die. The paperwork is health care for your kids. It's so bad. And like, that whole situation, watching Sister Wives is just like, it's just so predictable. Like, everything that happened in that whole family is just so predictable and so typical of polygamy. So in some ways, in some respects, I love it. That's it too. There's a lot of competition. There's a lot of competition among the men. And yeah, a lot of the times there's like aggression towards the older male children. And this shows up in the Sister Wives. Like, Cody was very aggressive towards Janelle's children, her male children. So, like, just in context, during the pandemic, right? Janelle's two sons were still living at home. They're young men though. They're like, at school. They're in college. They're put on lockdown. And he's just like encouraging her to kick them out of the house when it really wasn't a good idea at the time. Like, and that caused a big rift in their marriage because she wouldn't obey him. She wouldn't kick her kids out of the house. She's like, no, I mean, it's not right. Like, I have to choose my kids first. And it's the other thing too. It's like, the mothers you're in this situation as a mother. If you're like in a polygamous situation as a mother, this guy who you maybe see once a week or less, this is the thing with him. He's neglected his wives. He neglected Christine and Janelle. He would go weeks without seeing them, not to mention their kids. This isn't a situation where they're all living together. Like, they're all living in different households. And if daddy isn't interested in like playing with mommy, the dads will be gone forever. So, like, the disintegration of the family is just ridiculous. So, here's a position where a woman's, her older son he's in the military, he's saving up money to get his own house, you know, and then her other son is in college. They're still pretty young, like early 20s, late teens. So, she's not, and it's the pandemic as well. Like the panda bear hits, they're all on, lockdown. It did not, she didn't want to create a situation of difficulty for her kids. So, like, she's, you know, I'm getting all this pressure from him to, like, kick them out so that he will come visit them, so that he can come visit her household. He would refuse to visit her household because, one of her kids was working and the other one was in school. I don't know, man. I shouldn't keep going on about it, but it's just like, it's just so interesting that one of those sons has now committed suicide. The one that he was like giving all this, you know, just aggression to. And like, there was this one like episode in like the last season where this young man, Garrison, was being interviewed on the show, and he hasn't appeared, or no, it was not this past season, but the season before. He was being interviewed on the show, and he didn't appear on the show after this, but he talked about his father randomly calling him on his birthday, and he completely forgot about his birthday. Like, he didn't say happy birthday to him or anything. Like, he was just asking him about having COVID because he came down with COVID and he wanted to talk with him about, what it was like or something. And like, it just, the level of emotional distress that these kids were under, because kids want their father to love them and they want to know that their father loves them. And I just don't think his dad calls him on his birthday and doesn't even realize it's his birthday, because he's got a million kids. He's not a child of the favorite wife. I mean, he was more fond of Janelle than he was of Christine or Mary, but still, like, not the favored wife. I don't know, like, and there's Garrison, like, ends up crying, like, as he's telling the story, which was like really painful to watch, because he was like, I don't know, you have to see it. You just have to see it. It was like bad. And then you find out, and then he's just a couple of years later, he's dead by his own hand. Okay. But you have to imagine they'd been having so many problems before then, and this kid was yearning for his father. His father had been neglecting him for years, was not showing up to their house, was not parenting, was not helping his mother in any capacity. Like, it's not just forgetting his birthday. It's like a whole bunch of stuff. And it was just another blow, it was just another blow where, imagine you get a call on your birthday from your dad who you have all of these problems with, and you've been having problems with for years. You've not been seeing eye to eye. You've been butting heads. You've been fighting. Then on your birthday, daddy calls you. And you're thinking, wow, he's thought of me, he's remembered me, and it had nothing to do with your birthday or anything about you. Like, it was all just about him. It's just, I don't know, like, it's sad. It's sad. I think the whole context of it is really sad. Mm. Yeah, that's the truth too. Like the guy is just God, you know. He just becomes this like God, and if you ever like, that's the other thing about polygamy. He doesn't have to work anything out with you. He doesn't have to like treat you with respect or dignity even. He can treat you any way he wants. And if you don't like it, if you don't keep sweet and put up with it, you know, because that's the term they use, keep sweet, while you're being degraded and misused and mishandled and mistreated, and your children are neglected and they have no health care, and you're a welfare queen, like, I mean, it's so lame, you know, like he can just, you know, go off, you know, he can just go off to all these other households and get treated like a king and neglect you, and, you know, just put, it's not a good situation to raise kids in. You know, in a real marriage, when there are like conflicts, when a wife is like feeling neglected or feel like, a man has to like actually work it out with his wife. You know, he doesn't have other houses he can run to. You know, he doesn't have other women around stroking his ego. I mean, maybe he does if he's a philanderer, but like not to this extent, you know. He can just go to another household and play dad and pretend like, you know, play dad and husband there, and totally forget about his responsibilities to that woman. And so I think, you know, in polygamy, that's another problem with it, because there's no real emphasis on like actually being a real husband, you know? He doesn't have to be a real husband. He doesn't have to like, you know, actually husband his wife. He's like, if they have some kind of conflict or he doesn't like something she does, he can just like blow it off and say she's disobedient, she's this, she's that, like whatever. It's crap. I mean, I'm like, I just think too, like, why would any woman in this position be obedient? Like, eventually they don't. Like, most of them, like, and in this, like, in the sister wives thing, eventually they stopped. Yeah, you know, they couldn't do it anymore because he wasn't even there. Like, how does a man like come to your house once a month and then expect you to obey him when you've been running it the whole time yourself? I mean, that's ridiculous. Ridiculous. It is. Like, he hasn't set foot in your house for 4 months, but then he comes in and he's like, I'm the Lord of this manor. Like, he's not even paying the bills in these houses. Like, the whole thing is BS. The whole thing is BS. And Sister Wives and my watching of it has confirmed every negative stereotype I have about polygamy. I know how it ends. And it's a perfect environment for like narcissistic people as well. Like, that's the thing with Sister Wives. Like, the youngest wife, the newest wife, you know, is so manipulative, and she's like always pretending to cry. Like, the fans call her Sobbin, which is really funny. Her name's Robin, but they call her Sobbin because she's always like, like, I just don't understand. Like, like, it's just, you know, and you know, and on some level too, like she comes from a polygamous family as well. Like, her father had two wives, but they were completely separate and lived in separate like states. So she never had to deal with like her, father's other family, he would just be there part-time and then he'd go be with the other ones and come back and forth. So like, I think she, yeah, I don't know. The whole thing is just a mess, but like, you just see all of the negative stereotypes and disgusting things that happen in polygamy. They have been in part of and engaged in, and you just see it all out in the open. And like, these people are good polygamists. These are the decent polygamists. So if these are decent polygamists, what's really going on? And if you scratch the surface, it's really insane. It's really insane. I mean, yeah, but then, some of these women, like, it's all like the third wife of the family was, she's polygamist royalty. Her grandfather was, what's his name? I think Roland Allred is his name. He was like the big time leader in the AUB. So she was indoctrinated from an early age, into it. So, and Robin too was, from a polygamous family. Mary, I think, I don't know about Mary so much. I don't remember Mary's story. I know Janelle was a regular Mormon, and then she ended up converting to the like weird cult, and marrying. She was married previously to Mary. She was married to Mary's brother. So okay, she was married to her husband's first wife's brother, and no, I don't know what you're responding to. I haven't mentioned anything regarding that, which is also rampant in polygamy. Very common in polygamy. Very common. Not just PDF, but like sex or, abuse between children is very common, a lot of the times because there's no supervision of the children. Because you got a million effing kids, and the women are pregnant all the time. That's the other thing too. They're broke. They're on welfare. And the guy comes like every time she's, not knocked up, he comes and he knocks her up again. So a lot of these women like end up having 10 plus kids. At some point so you have like 10 kids, your husband visits you once a week. Like, how do you think these women manage to actually responsibly raise their kids? It's impossible. It's impossible. So anyway, I gotta go. I said I had to go an hour ago and then I didn't. So now I really got to go. I hope you all have a good night and I'll see you another time. Bye.